Horror, a genre that has tantalized and tormented our fragile minds for centuries. But tonight, my fiendish friends, we are not lurking in the shadowy halls of Gothic castles or the depths of ancient crypts. No, we are diving headfirst into the terrifying world of horror video games. A world that has evolved from crude pixels to spine-chilling realism. Horror is no longer confined to the silver screen. No, no, no. In video games, you are the victim. You are the stalker. You must survive the terror. You must kill your victims. You must endure the nightmares.
Yeah, but let's not forget, horror games weren't always about hyper-realism. Back in the day, it was all about making the most out of very little. But now, we've got fully immersive, VR-infested jump scare festivals.
And what a grotesquely glorious transformation it has been. So, my dear creatures of the night, let us trace the evolution of horror gaming from the first pixelated shudders to the immersive nightmares of today. And don't forget, please like and subscribe. In the beginning, horror in video games was nothing more than a ghostly whisper, a fleeting shadow barely taking form. One of the first attempts to frighten players was Haunted House for the Atari 2600.
Beware, playing Atari can be pretty hair-raising. Atari, simply more fun and games.
You played as, get this, a pair of floating eyeballs. Your goal, escape a mansion full of ghouls, all the while fumbling through darkness. It was simplistic, but laid the groundwork for something greater.
And then in the 80s, licensed horror games started popping up. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th for NES. They weren't exactly scary, but more like frustrating nightmares of a different kind. But hey, you got to play as Leatherface, so that's cool.
Oh yes, my dear boy. Oh, and don't forget, I believe there was also a Freddy and a Dracula. These were the primordial ooze from which horror gaming would emerge. A grotesque beginning, but necessary. Then, my dear friends, the 1990s arrived, and with it, true survival horror was born. It began with Alone in the Dark, a game that dared to introduce cinematic camera angles, tank controls, and the dreadful sensation that something, well, was always watching.
Then Resident Evil came along and basically changed everything. It took the idea of being trapped in a mansion with monsters, threw in limited resources, tank controls, and boom! Survival horror exploded.
Ah yes, the moment when the first grotesque zombie turned its soulless gaze upon you, it was horror perfected. But then came Silent Hill. Unlike Resident Evil's biological nightmares, Silent Hill introduced psychological horror. The fog-covered town, the oppressive atmosphere, the eerie, otherworldly noises. It was a living nightmare. And of course, the birth of Pyramid Head.
Yeah, Silent Hill messed people up. It wasn't just scary, it was disturbing. It made you feel dread in ways no game had before.
Ah, the 2000s, a time when horror games began to evolve into fully cinematic nightmares. Fatal Frame forced players to face their fears quite literally with a camera that captured ghosts. And then came the game changer, Resident Evil 4. But fear not, my purest friends, for true terror was still lurking. Enter Dead Space, a game that combined the dread of Resident Evil with the cosmic horror of Alien. The Ishimura was a tomb, and you were its final breath.
Yeah, Resident Evil 4 was a big deal. It reinvented the franchise, introduced the over-the-shoulder perspective, and made horror action a thing. And let's not forget Amnesia, the Dark Descent. No weapons, no combat, just you hiding, breathing heavily, hoping the monster doesn't find you. It's like my real life in this castle.
And just when you thought horror had become all action and explosions, the indie games took over. Five Nights at Freddy's turned creepy animatronics into an internet sensation. PT, a playable teaser for Silent Hills, became legendary despite never officially releasing. And then Resident Evil 7 brought survival horror back to its roots.
And VR changed the game. Phasmophobia took ghost hunting and made it real. Multiplayer horror was born.
So, what awaits us in the abyss of the future with VR, AI-driven horror, and new tech making real-time terror possible? The next evolution of horror gaming is just beginning. Oh, so tell us, friends, what is your favorite horror game? Let us know in the comments, and as always, like, subscribe, and may your nightmares be as immersive as your gaming experience.
It's a weird way to sign off, Uncle Vincent.
No nonsense. Until next time, my fiendish followers, game on, and may you always fear the dark.